Parents, when was the moment you saw your child's spirit break? It was the day my daughter didn't want to go to school anymore. She used to bounce out of bed at 6 a.m., lay out her outfits the night before, and ask 100 questions during our morning drive about everything from why clouds move to what we'd have for dinner. But that Tuesday morning, she just stared at her shoes and whispered, "I don't feel good. Can I stay home?" I checked for fever, found none, and gently explained she needed to go. In the car, instead of her usual chatter, silence filled the space between us. I glanced in the rearview mirror and caught her wiping tears. "What's wrong, sweetie?" I asked, my stomach nodding. "Nothing," she mumbled, but her eyes told a different story. That afternoon, when I picked her up, she climbed into the car without her usual excited recap of the day. For weeks, this new pattern continued. My vibrant 7-year-old was disappearing before my eyes. I spoke with her teacher, who seemed dismissive, suggesting my daughter was just going through a phase, but mothers know. One night, I sat on her bed during our bedtime routine, and instead of reading, I just held her hand. "You can tell me anything," I whispered. The dam broke. Between sobs, she told me about a group of girls who had been tormenting her for months. They excluded her at recess, whispered when she walked by, and told other kids not to be her friend. The ringleader was the daughter of the PTA president, a woman who organized most school events and was close friends with the principal. My daughter begged me not to say anything, terrified it would get worse. That night, after she fell asleep, I cried for hours. The next morning, I called in sick to work and kept her home. We baked cookies, watched movies, and for a few hours, I saw glimpses of my happy girl again. The following day, I walked her to her classroom and requested a meeting with both a teacher and principal. The principal suggested we include the other parent. When the PTA mom arrived, she immediately went on defense, insisting her daughter would never bully anyone and that my daughter was too sensitive. The principal nodded along. That was the moment I realized the system would not protect my child. I looked at my daughter's teacher and said, "You've watched this happen for months and did nothing." Then I turned to the principal, "And you're more concerned with donations than dignity." I enrolled my daughter in a different school the next week. The transition wasn't easy, but slowly, my morning-loving, question-asking child returned. 6 months later, we ran into one of her old classmates at the grocery store, who excitedly told us that the bullying situation had been addressed school-wide after 3 other families complained. The principal had been required to implement an anti-bullying program. The PTA mom had stepped down. I felt vindicated, but also sad it took our departure and other families' pain for change to happen. Last week, 4 years after that terrible time, my now 11-year-old daughter stood up for a new kid being teased in the lunchroom. When I asked her why, she said, "Because I remember what it feels like when your heart breaks a little every day, and nobody should feel that way." Sometimes I still see shadows of that broken spirit when she faces new social situations, but watching her channel that pain into compassion showed me that even when our children break, they can rebuild themselves into something even more beautiful if we just give them the safe space to heal. Every tiny moment of healing whispered a promise of strength restored. In that tender silence, heart and hope embraced, quietly knitting together the fragments of a once broken spirit into a mosaic of resilience and quiet grace. Always.